Some of you may have heard of a young Canadian man years ago. This man was named Terry Fox, who at 18 was diagnosed with bone cancer. His right leg was amputated, and suddenly a life of a healthy teenager was replaced with hospitals, chemotherapy, and a very uncertain future. And while in the cancer ward, Terry saw children around him enduring the same pain and fear, many of them even younger than he was. And something inside of him refused to accept the despair that would have the last word. In the middle of that darkness, the light came on in him. It was a fierce and compassionate hope. So Terry, with this fierce and compassionate hope, decided he would run across Canada on an artificial leg to raise money and awareness for cancer research. And so in 1980, he began what he called the Marathon of Hope. And every day, he ran roughly a marathon, about 26 miles to be exact. I can't do that with two legs. But he did it on one leg and a prosthetic, often in wind, rain, blistering heat, and people saw this skinny young man hopping and running down the highway. And something awakened in them too. He didn't get to finish the run. The cancer returned, and he eventually made his transition. But by then, his light had already ignited thousands of others, and his marathon of hope had raised hundreds of millions of dollars for cancer research and continues to this day through annual Terry Fox runs around the world. What a powerful testament. Because Terry didn't deny his pain. He brought hope into it. He didn't just look at the bright side. He became the bright side. He became the bright side. And that's what I want to talk about today. Hope as the light within us. The light that no diagnosis, no loss, no crisis, no headline can extinguish. So let's take a look at the nature of true hope. And I ask you a question. Is hope simply wishful thinking? Or is hope an active state of spiritual expectancy and trust in the unfoldment of good? You don't have to answer that. But I believe both are true. There's two kinds of hope. Kind of like what Charles Fillmore was talking about. There's hope in a sense world where we're kind of wishing and, oh, that would be nice if I had a new Lamborghini, or, oh, that would be nice if... And then there's the hope that's we call faith. That's the knowing, the certainty that God's good is working in and through us. I like to think of hope and faith because hope and faith go together. And I look at them as fraternal twins. I think faith is always kind of like the pretty more popular one, you know, like the older sister who looks great and has the captain of the football team as her boyfriend, and is on all the committees and gets the straight A's. And faith and hope, I look at as the younger middle school sister, the one with braces, maybe a little more awkward. But they're joined together. They complement each other. And then there's love. You remember the saying, the scripture, faith, hope, and love? Love is like the older sister that's kind of moved out, is more mature than the both of them. But faith and hope are always paired together. And today I invite you to look at it as not as one or the other, meaning that hope leads to a greater faith, but then faith also empowers a greater hope. So it's almost like a circle, like sisters working off of each other and supporting each other. Hope is the beginning of our journey on faith. It's the simple awareness that there is a power and a presence in us that brings forth the good which we desire for ourselves and others. A steady and unwavering hope builds in us the strong foundation of faith that cultivates confidence, knowing, and mastery in the workings of divine principle in blessing every aspect of our lives. And from Ephesians chapter 1, verse 18, from the New International Version, it says, I pray that the eyes of your heart may be enlightened in order that you may know the hope which he has called you. And he, in this instance, is referring to that Christ, that divine presence, that energy, whatever you want to call it, divine source, divine intelligence, divine wisdom, Christ, Buddha. I think Wendy has a name for her inner person too. I think it's Al or something like that. She refers to it. But again, this presence that's inside of you, Christ in you, the hope, the glory. And faith, as we cultivate hope, we build a greater faith, and faith is our hope fully actualized. And that faith returns to empower our hope. The highest hope we can have propels our thinking into the realm of possibility, which is of the absolute. So we have a promise of our own indwelling divinity. And that's our second unity principle, that God, that seed, there's the first unity principle is there's only one power, one presence, active in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And the second unity principle is that power, that source, is inherent in us all. We possess that divinity within us. So as we explore this core teaching in unity, that we're all expressions of the divine, this is the ultimate hope. That hope within us, that we are never separate. We're always connected and always capable of choosing to express our highest self. In the story of Jesus resurrecting his friend Lazarus, he hears from Lazarus' family that Lazarus is dead. And he goes into the house and he sees that Lazarus is dead. He even smells that Lazarus is dead. And all of his senses and all of the facts tell him of the scene in the room and people crying and the smells and the lifeless body there, that this is a hopeless situation. But Jesus, being the enlightened soul he is, our way shower, and who has attained this Christ consciousness, lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me. And in unity, in our metaphysical interpretation, looking up not only represents raising one's gaze, but more importantly, it's raising our consciousness. Because when we're looking up, we're not simply looking up going, okay, God, go ahead. Oh, raise Lazarus. No, Jesus is affirming in prayer this power. So if you keep looking at the problem, you stay in the problem. But when we look up, we are seeing above the problem into the solution. Jesus looked above the problem. He raised his consciousness. He looked past the appearances and the facts of what he was seeing and into the real of faith and knowing. And then he was able to command in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. So the message in this, no situation you face is hopeless. If you face it with God, and we've talked about in Unity a lot that we are co-creators with God. If we simply look up and raise our consciousness to that level, to the realm of possibilities instead of the realm of problems, above what we hear, see, or read, or what people are putting into our ears, right? Sometimes we got friends, it's not a good thing, and it's a bad situation, and the world's just horrible and everything. We can raise above all that. And we too can command in a loud voice, problem, get lost. So another thing we can declare, as we were talking about earlier, that light within us. Hope is the light within us, that light of illumination. And in the story of the creation in Genesis, there's an idea that we can shed light on any situation we have. One time there was a woman praying late at night saying, God, please give me hope. Please show me the light. Suddenly, the power went out in her house and the entire room went completely dark. And she said, okay, God, not that way. And she took out her phone and used the screen light. You ever do this? You take out your phone, use the screen light to find the fuse box. And while she's fumbling around, she hears an inner voice say, see, the light was within you the whole time. And she muttered, yeah, but the light within me has 12% battery left. So again, sometimes our batteries can get depleted. Genesis 1, chapter 1, says, in the beginning when God created the heavens and the earth was a formless void and darkness covered the face of the deep. And while a wind from God swept over the face of the waters. This is talking about the unformed, the chaos. Anybody have a little chaos in their lives? I've got some. I've got quite a bit, actually. Chaos is defined from our metaphysical Bible dictionaries: disorder, confusion, discord. Chaos in our body or affairs results from the chaos that goes on in our mind. It's a product of what we're experiencing here, right now, in this plane on earth. So in recognizing chaos and not succumbing to it, not being in it, but being able to rise above it, our call is to release that chaos in our minds, kind of like what we do through meditation, right? I led that meditation where we released and dissipated those mental anxieties and thoughts and things. So we make our minds, we make ourselves an empty vessel. Chaos is where brilliance is born. It contains the divine ideas. It contains all the good things that we can have, and it's not just merely chaotic and a negative thing. So in chapter 3, he says, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. So we always have the choice to move from chaos to creation. Chaos to creation. When we recognize that illumination, we can illuminate those chaotic things and find the good in it. I think it would make a powerful affirmation too. Let there be light. Let's say that once together. Let there be light. One more time. Let there be light. By declaring this, we can subdue the chatter in our minds and invite the illumination and understanding that we seek into our awareness. But what if this was not only a cosmic story, but a personal one? What if our spiritual journey was our own Genesis unfolding? What if every challenge we face is another moment where the divine in us reaches back and says, let there be light. Let there be light in my relationships. Let there be light in my finances. Let there be light in my job. Let there be light in my spiritual journey. Let there be light. Because unity teaches us that light represents spiritual understanding and truth. So when we turn inward, when we meditate, when we align ourselves with the Christ within, when we affirm that, we're recreating a sacred moment. Let there be light. Hope is that inner dawning, that illumination of consciousness that we find. Lastly, is our spiritual practice. Our fifth unity principle is what? It's not enough to know and learn these concepts and principles, but we must practice them in our everyday life. Cultivating a daily practice of acknowledging the divine presence within. Perhaps through affirmations like the light of God surrounds me, the love of God enfolds me, the power of God protects me, the presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is. So here's 5 ways, here's 5 practices we can do to help us cultivate this deeper hope, this light within. Are you ready to hear these? All right. First one is to name the darkness. Name the darkness, then claim that light. It's okay to say, God, this is hard. I'm experiencing trouble in my life. I'm feeling afraid. I'm feeling lost. I'm feeling sad. But we don't have to stop there. We can feel those things. But we can also view it from a different perspective. We can add, however, the light of God is within me right now, guiding me, comforting me. And we can also practice pairing honest feelings with a statement of spiritual truth. Again, those affirmations. The second step, and I think of I think of Terry, that young 18-year-old, with each step when he was, running that marathon, each step. And we can look at hope as each step in our own personal marathon, these steps. Pray hope, not fear. Pray hope, not fear. Instead of God, please fix this mess, try, in my hope, I view the spiritual illumination of the situation. Open the eyes of my heart, divine source. And this helps us to align with Romans 15:13, which says, we let the God of hope fill us with joy and peace. The third step in our marathon of hope, is small, hopeful action. Again, that unity fourth principle is at work. Hope grows when we do something loving, however small. Especially during the holidays, we tend to do a lot of these things, but after the holidays, January, February, March, when we're not all engrossed in Christmas cards and gatherings, we can always do these things year-round. These things like make the call. Call a friend who hasn't heard from you in a while. Write the card. Volunteer for an hour or two. And we bless our volunteers here at the Unity Center that do that. Take the next healthy step. There's always a next healthy step. Sometimes your prayer can simply be, Divine Spirit, God, what is my next step? And listen, Terry Fox couldn't heal all his cancer, but he could run one more mile that day. And our small acts are miles in our own marathon of hope. The fourth step in our personal marathon of hope is to engage in a community of light. As I talked about, we each have that sun, that light within us, but together we're one bright light. How many of you are planning on attending the Christmas Eve service, the candlelighting service this year? And if you haven't, it is so powerful, right? Those of you that have been to it, the power of seeing all the candles and all the light in the room together. We are a community of light. Let's say that together. We are a community of light. We're not meant to carry or develop hope alone. At the Unity Center and Unity churches across and groups, we pray together. We sing together. We remind each other of the truth when we forget. And we encourage each other. So we can join a prayer circle or classes like we have here, maybe a service team. We can create and be part of our own hope ecosystem. I love that word, the hope ecosystem. And the last step, the fifth step in our marathon of hope, our personal marathon of hope, is simply a daily practice of a hope check-in. So we can do this simple daily ritual each morning. Put your hand on your heart and say, the light of hope is alive in me. Christ in me, or however you want to address that presence within yourself. Christ in me, the hope of glory. And then ask yourself, what is the one hopeful step I can take today? Or maybe it's this morning. What's the one hopeful step I can take this morning? And you can make it simple. It doesn't have to be a great grand gesture. It could be as simple as feeding your dog a snack. That's how my morning usually starts. The dog is usually there wanting a snack. I'm a two-legged treat dispenser. Again, that one simple, small step of hope. So to wrap this all up and to take it in, we go back to that idea of the simple steps, a marathon. It's not a race. It's not something we win. Hope is cultivated step by step by step by step. Just like that young man, Terry, in his mile of hope. So the simplest of activities and actions we do will help cultivate that. As we build a strong faith, as those steps lead to a greater faith and a greater resilience, it's almost like working out at the gym, right? You start off and you might be sore and just discombobulated, but after a while your body becomes attuned to it. And as we practice these steps consistently and unwaveringly, we develop that muscle of faith. And in turn, that muscle of faith influences a more spiritually poised hope. A hope that endureth all, a hope that comforts, a hope that sheds the light in each and every one. So go forth today and be that light of hope to each other, to your families, to your friends, to your communities. Namaste.